Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the next chapter of A Call from the Stars, A Call to Arms. Chapter 4. Point of View. Tect Female. Full name impossible to pronounce through human vernacular. Given the designation Cindy by her human compatriots. Well, I never thought I'd actually be here on an alien planet. It's actually surprising considering my father's ideas on what I should be doing with my life, but it was nice to be able to travel. And, well, seeing the humans, it was surprisingly odd to see how they are different from ours. Physiology, well, what really is strange is how small but how dense they are. They only have the two arms, and they have additional manipulators at the end of their hands, they call fingers. But it's surprising how strong they actually are. I was lucky enough to see not only videos, but see firsthand on how they're lifting weights just for general health purposes that weigh as much as I do. Most of their human soldiers are so strong, I worry that one of them could pull one of my arms off without even thinking about it. But that's not the only difference. They are shorter than we are. When I went and saw the man that I believe they call it courting or dating or seeing or visually acquiring. I get confused on the human vernacular, but it comes down to when I stand straight and look forward, I'm actually looking just over the top of his head. He doesn't seem to mind, though. In fact, as he said at one point, I'll climb you like a tree. I wouldn't understand the meaning of that until later, but it did make me blush, as it turned my skin a little bit more green than blue. For humans, when they blush, they turn red, which is actually a scary thing for us. If we see red, that is definitely danger. One of the most dangerous animals we've ever dealt with is a solid red color. And of course, we are at war with it. But of course, there is the other differences, mainly what happens physically. It guides our social structure. Most of us are, as the humans put, docile. We're not very violent at all or aggressive. Our males become aggressive when they enter rut. When each individual enters their rut, they tend to get more and more aggressive and in some cases violent. Back before we started wearing any type of clothing, it was actually easy to tell as our males would develop their mating bone around the same time. And this mating bone was as what is that species that humans say? Oh, like spiders. Yes, spiders. It actually scares the living crap out of all of them. Yes, I know that human phrase is strange to the rest of us, but the mating bone comes out to, by their dimensions, approximately 3 inches long and about an inch to inch and a half across, and it acts the same way as the males of the human race mate. Only the difference is it breaks off and they usually pass out after that. The humans find this hilarious as, well, we females enjoy it very, very much because it continues to do what it's supposed to do. But of course, when the male wakes up, he is back to being docile again, usually just happy that he probably impregnated the female that he just shared some time with. I believe that is that how they say that? Shared time with? I share time with humans all the time. I don't understand this. The human phrases are just strange. They're fun to say, though. However, it was rather interesting when I first met the one I am currently dating, courting, at the formal event. His clothing had a lot of shiny things on it. Many different colors adorned his chest, and different things dangled from, but what really got my attention was he was just there. We like that, the docile males. They make much better partners to be around. Although it did take me a little bit to adjust my universal translator since I had originally had it set for a different one of the many, many, many human languages. And when I finally addressed him, he seemed to do that thing that humans do when they bare their teeth, they call a smile. At first I was worried, but then he reached out his hand, took mine, and for a moment I thought he was going to bite me. He twisted my hand so that it was on top, and then he proceeded to kiss the top of my hand and said, "It is nice to meet you, ma'am." I didn't understand the significance at this time, but I found out later that this is a very, very big sign of respect from human males to human females. However, this is a very old way of addressing. However, I will say for our culture, I blushed a lot. He did look at me strange as I seemed to change colors right in front of him. Once he did realize that I was blushing, he seemed to just say a few words to calm me down, and then we sat and talked for a while. I found out that I would be working with him, or in his area, so we could actually see more of each other. This was essential to our budding relationship eventually, as we would go out for drinks. However, we did find out something that the humans' morning drink they call coffee is a very strong intoxicant to my race. Um, it became actually a kind of a joke. He would ask if I wished to have a coffee in the morning with him. I said, no thanks, I don't want to be drunk. And yet, we would drink the ethyl alcohol as a morning stimulant. And I asked him if he wanted something. Well, he doesn't enjoy the ethyl alcohol as much as others do. I have seen some humans put so much in their system that I would actually be shaking and have to go see our hospital staff. But I digress at that point. Working with the humans was not difficult to do. They all seem accepting of it. Some of the human females seem to have a strange, I don't know, disdain in their eyes, though. As it turns out, the shape of our bodies is more robust in certain areas, which definitely tends to be something that human females worry about their looks. I found out that human males are very, very, very much drawn to what they see. They're visual creatures, un, very much unlike ours, which are drawn more towards movement and our pheromones. Apparently, humans can barely smell our pheromones, and it smells almost what they call perfume. I'm glad it's not very strong, as my potential mate doesn't like the smell of heavy perfumes. However, he seems to like the smell of me. Also, working with the humans, we've been able to use the new technology that has come from using their non organic systems. Surprisingly efficient, these little devices, as their computing abilities far surpass some of even our greatest technology. And yet, when merging the two together, it is unbelievably efficient. I was working mainly in some of the medical tech and helped them to refine the new nanomachines that were going to be coming out. This new nanomachine, once injected in the body, would shut down the previous ones by, well, basically dissecting them and then making more of the new ones. However, these new nanomachines, even though far more effective, must be coded to each individual. This made it very difficult to operate to make sure that each one would not be rejected by its host. However, that also meant that the idea of a blood transfusion to anyone who has actually received these nanites was no longer possible. It didn't matter if they were one of ours or one of theirs. The new nanites would actually assault the new body, thinking that their host had been invaded when it's actually the other way around. It was an interesting problem to work with, but not something the human medics worried about too much. As far as they were concerned, that just meant less items they had to carry, less intravenous fluids, less blood, less things they had to worry about. Of course, they would have plenty to worry about as things went on. After meeting my, what do they call that, boyfriend? We have another word which sounds specifically the same as what they used to say, boo. I didn't think it would be this way, but whatever. Sometimes the words do actually go, and they continue to go beyond what we expect, and sometimes they coalesce. But I digress at this point. Starting our relationship has had its ups and downs. I cannot have a single time with my new beau without him telling us how he gets a whole bunch of, as he puts it, a whole load of shit about dating a non human. Whatever. I do find it interesting that all these humans actually do seem to care, even if it's not in an intimate manner. He does take so good care of me, and it is surprising that he's had to actually fight off those, uh, what did he call them? Duck boys, I believe it was, which is strange. They don't look avian to me, but I have no interest in them, and I have to make sure he knows that. Again, our culture prefers the more docile men to the more dominant ones. Dominant men tend to be, well, scary to us. We do not like them at all. However, I will say it is a bit of a thrill to know that my docile man is capable of such violent acts. I only know this because I showed up at his workplace once, and it was before he was about to be changed to a different type of work. He was training the young ones, and I actually saw him grab one of his trainees and actually throw them into position. It was it was scary, but it was thrilling, which is odd. I never expected that sensation. I turned three shades of blue at that point. I didn't understand it, although it was kind of scary to know that the one who would hold me that night could break me at that same moment. Human physiology is strange to us. Again, they're much stronger than we are, and the endurance levels are far beyond anything we ever thought was possible. They went on these foot road march things. Sometimes the words he used just don't make sense to me. And I heard that they went on over 50 kilometers, didn't stop except to rehydrate themselves. It was amazing. He also took me to something called a tough mugger, something like that. He actually had to carry me for part of it. It was exhausting. And yet, it seemed like all the humans enjoyed it, bringing themselves up, doing all this physical activity in the blazing sun. It was incredible to see how strong and how much endurance they have in such a small body. Yet, not all of them is small. Their bicep area is just massive compared to ours. Their thighs dwarf ours. It is just insane. And there is so much muscle mass in each of these now that the nanomachines are taking effect. I can't wait to see what comes later. Journal entry. We've done it. We've made the new nanomachines. They work. They work wonderfully. I told my boyfriend, and he just looked me in the eye with that strange grin, and he said, well, I can't wait to see what it does.